Hey everyone, it's Samia Khan here with a Fox 10 News Now update. We had breaking news this morning out of Scottsdale where two people were found shot and killed. Ty Brennan is actually out in Scottsdale right now working this story for the 5 p.m. news, and I have him on the phone right now. Ty, can you hear me?
Yeah, this is still a very active scene out here. Right now we're at 68th Street and Chaparral Road here in Scottsdale. This all happened at around 8:20 this morning, and Scottsdale police are calling this a murder-suicide between a husband and wife. This is what they say all happened here this morning. There was a construction worker who was working in a house just right across the street. That construction worker actually heard a child inside that house screaming for help. So that construction worker, pretty brave, he drops everything, runs across the street inside that house, and now when he gets inside that house, according to police, he sees that man and wife fighting, struggling over a handgun. Now that guy, the construction worker, is able to kind of wrestle the man away from that handgun. He then takes the wife and the young child and takes them across the street to that construction site where he was just at to hopefully, keep them safe. But just seconds later, police say that that man came back out of the house with another gun. He then told the construction worker kind of butt out of this, with the gun. This guy wasn't going to, interfere with this guy. He did tell the construction worker, though, to keep that kid away from what was about to happen. And that's when the man shot his wife and then himself right there on the sidewalk. When we came onto scene earlier this morning, there was a woman here who was just panicked because her husband just so happened to be driving in the area. He works up here. He just so happens to be driving in the area, and he witnessed the entire thing go down, and he was there with that little child. We're told that that kid's right around 6 years old, and he was there comforting that little boy, and this woman, was trying to get to him, but of course they had the streets all blocked off. Police were questioning that man about what he saw, those types of things, but that little boy was taken into police custody. He's talking with counselors right now. We're told that there's two kids that live in that house. The one kid was not at the house at the time that this all transpired, but both of those kids are with police right now, talking with counselors. Obviously, just a horrible, traumatic incident that these two kids are now having to deal with out here in Scottsdale. But we're gathering more information kind of as the day progresses. But this is a beautiful neighborhood if you're familiar with this area, 68th Street and Chaparral. We're just a few blocks away from the Scottsdale Mall here. So it's a very upscale, very quiet, manicured yards. So a lot of people were just kind of out walking and biking, not knowing, what happened. And they were absolutely shocked to come around the corner and obviously see all these police here and the media. And then just talking to them, they were in absolute awe and shock that something like this would happen in a place like this. So obviously we're continuing to gather more details. No motive right now of, why. But police said that they are, last Friday, they served an order of protection to the man, saying that he wasn't allowed to be anywhere near that house or that woman. So that was last Friday. They also said that they took guns out of that house. So obviously there's been some sort of domestic issues in the past, and then it all compounded sadly here this morning.
Right. Were you able to talk to any neighbors in the area that may have had any, personal information about that family?
Well, there was a couple of neighbors that we talked to on and off camera. The one guy wasn't exactly sure. From where we're standing, we have to understand we're blocks and blocks away from where this shooting actually happened this morning. They've got this whole neighborhood kind of locked down after investigation. He says he's talked to him a couple of times, just passing by while walking his dog. He said they always seemed nice, happy, smiling with his, with the two kids and things like that. So he, obviously this is coming as a shock to a lot of people here.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, Ty, thanks for giving us that update. You are going to have the full report at 5 o'clock today on Fox 10, correct?
Yep, 5 and 6 o'clock.
All right, Ty, we will definitely tune in. Thanks so much for calling in.
You bet.
All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, that was a really unfortunate story. Another unfortunate story this morning, a bus accident. I actually have Marc Martinez, Fox 10's very own, right here with me. Welcome, Marc.
Hi, Samia. Thanks Yeah, so this morning, this crash happened out in Avondale, which is west of Phoenix,
Right.
like 122nd Avenue in McDowell, and these kids were on the bus, and a car really came right towards the bus, and you see what the aftermath here to the bus. It wasn't terrible, but look at the car. That's a Volkswagen sedan.
Jetta.
I think it's a Jetta.
That's
yeah.
a Jetta.
Yes, and that front end of that car
Oh my
really
gosh.
is just demolished after that impact. So what the students on the bus and apparently the driver told police is that the woman who was driving that car was kind of looking down. They weren't sure if she was texting, if she was looking at something on her phone, but they did say she was looking down at the time that this crash happens, distracted it appeared. And the driver of the bus saw that car coming toward and slammed on the brakes. Kids were jostled around,
Right.
honked the horn, so enough time. I mean, saw this thing about this car about to hit them, and whatever he was trying to do to avoid the impact, the woman struck the front of the bus.
So was it was it head on? Was it a
Well,
T-bone incident?
So
What
you could see the front, like the driver's side of the bus. There is
Right.
where the car hit.
Okay.
So not totally head on, but almost. Like the about half of the front end of the bus, but. It hit where it impacted her car was pretty much the driver area really
Sure.
smashed in. She is in she's critically injured as a result of this crash. In fact, and no students, I want to point out, no students or the driver of the bus were hurt. I mean, obviously the bus is huge,
Right.
and even though that car was demolished, the front of the bus isn't too bad. You see there what we're talking about.
Right.
See the impact. They had to tear the door off that car using the jaws of life to get the woman outside. We don't know much about her, except a witness told us that she was able to talk to him and say she's a 33-year-old woman, and he heard the crash and went over to help.
Right.
And I think we have some.
We did. We
talked to him out there about what he saw as soon as he went over to help. He's an Army veteran who has had some sort of training in dealing with accidents and trauma. So he wanted to go over and kind of calm her down and make sure she was doing okay. So are we going to hear from him?
We are going to hear from him
let's hear
right
from
now.
him right now. William Whitehead is his name.
It all, and turned around. We heard a honking, looked out and saw a car getting backed up off of this bus right here, and I saw smoking, and ex-military, see smoking, you go bad, fire. So I ran down the third floor steps without putting the boot on, and that was a real bleep word to do that. Got down there, got to her, and she wasn't very coherent at the moment. I do believe one of the people from the bus was helping at the moment with a fire extinguisher, and one of the police officers were on the scene. We tried prying the door open, the thing on my arm explained, and I got there on the scene. No one was really trying to talk to her. They were all worried about getting her out of the car, and I've always been taught that you need to try and keep the whole situation in control as well, so I tried keeping her calm too. Melissa, 33 years old, it's really all I could get out of her. She wasn't completely aware of everything that was going on. She kept trying to pass out on me too, but I told her to keep looking. Waited till she left out, and then we went out. Cops didn't really want anything from me. They didn't need any talking, because I didn't see enough for something, is what they had stated. And that's about it.
What made you decide to run to the scene and help?
Well, one, because it's just close to this apartment, and I could imagine if it was my wife, my mom, or somebody else that was in that car. But, I mean, it's the same reason I joined the Army, was to help people, as weird as that sounds. I don't know, my mama raised me right. I guess is the way to put that. But, yeah, that's about the...
How long, so you go over there, how long were you with her for before?
My adrenaline was pumping really hard. I'd say maybe 5-10 minutes. I just really went over there to talk to her. She told me not to, leave for a little bit while they were all walking around, so I just held her hand and talked to her and told her she was going to be all right, to the fire trucks and the, can't even think of the word now. Outbreaks, thank you. My dad calls them Band-Aid buggies, so yeah, sorry. Showed up, and
So was
sleep it all.
Need to turn our mics back on. I think it's really remarkable that there are people out there that are so willing to help in situations. I think both with this story and the story that we reported right before this, the story with Ty, where this just construction worker ran over to help.
Right.
Putting
himself, he put himself in harm's way too in that story.
Right. Because the guy, the guy was armed.
Right. Yeah. Scary situation for him. And, with William, the guy that you just heard from, what was nice that he did is, while everyone was focused on the accident and things like that, he went right to the woman and, held her hand and tried to make her as calm as possible. He said there was no way they were getting her out of that car without heavy equipment, which was on its way. But, just Good Samaritans, there's nothing they could do and they didn't want to hurt her any more than she might have already been.
Right.
So, they had to kind of leave her in that situation for several minutes until the first responders got there. And, like he said, he held her hand, calmed her down, and mainly tried to keep her from passing out, because he said she was kind of on the verge of losing consciousness. Oh yeah. You could see the airbags went out in that car, but even with the airbags, that you could see the mangled metal of that car. They had to tear do you see the door over there off to the right side? That's the car door.
What amazes me is Jettas and Volkswagen are relatively sturdy cars. I drive a Jetta.
Yes,
so for
you're right.
me, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Well, and what's interesting, you could see where the car was, and then you could see all the debris in front of it. Apparently what happened, and I don't know how fast this woman was going when it happened, but this is kind of a residential area. But one witness said the car hit the bus and then kind of bounced back. So that's where all the debris is, where the initial impact was. And then the car ended up a few feet back from that, so it almost kind of ricocheted off of the front of the bus. And I don't know how many tons this bus is, but it's a very large school bus, and so that's why it's really for her hitting a gigantic concrete wall.
Right.
So,
do we know what speed she was traveling at all?
No, and we haven't.
Approximate.
I have not heard anything about the approximate speed yet. They're still conducting. Well, they've cleared the scene. This happened this morning, but they did take a lot of measurements out there, so they'll be able to, based on if there was any braking, on her part, there may not have been. I didn't see any skid marks when I was out there, so I don't know if she hit this bus, full speed. It didn't look to me see behind the car, there's no skid marks or anything like that. So I'm not sure. I'm not I don't recreate accidents for a living, but just from what I've seen out there, it doesn't look to me like there were any skid marks behind her or an attempt to stop.
Right.
So even if you're going 40, 45 miles an hour, you hit that thing, you're talking about some serious damage and serious injuries. Look at the hood of the car. It is just peeled back,
I'm just glad that she's still breathing. The fact that she was fully conscious, able to communicate without witness that was there.
Right. And
we're looking at the damage. That's remarkable.
Yeah, and I don't know the extent of her internal injuries perhaps, or how badly her lower extremities were injured. They said she was pinned in there. Her legs were pretty badly pinned. Took a while to get her out, but the parents, a few of them went to the scene after hearing what happened.
Right.
Kids, of course, texting mom and dad right away nowadays, telling them what was going on. One, they were shaken up. The students, they weren't hurt. Another school bus came in to take them to school. A couple of them their parents decided to take them to get checked out, just to make sure they didn't have any kind of whiplash injuries, because they were moved around a little bit in the bus. One girl said she was actually laying down on the seat. These buses don't have seat belts.
Right.
And she kind of fell on the floor, so she was going to go to the hospital to be looked at just to make sure she was all right. So.
Right.
But we don't know, exactly what caused it. We're still waiting for all of that. It could be days or maybe weeks or so before we know exactly what led up to this.
Earlier today, we were told that she was texting while driving, but I think that as the day has progressed, it's now more. We haven't confirmed that at all. Witnesses are saying that she was looking down.
Yeah.
So we don't know whether.
Not 100% on that. We do know that police had enough information that she might have been doing something like that they were searching the car to try to find her cell phone.
Right.
And because it was not in her hand when they pulled her out of the car. So they were looking around to see if maybe she was mid-text or something like that, if they could find the phone. When they took the car from the scene, at that point they had still not found the phone, but you saw the condition of the car. I mean, that phone could have gone flying anywhere inside of that wreckage. So, right now we don't know exactly what caused it, except to say that it was a very bad crash out at 162nd Avenue and McDowell. It closed traffic for quite a while, but hopefully, she pulls through and is able to make it out of this.
I know, it's fortunate enough that she is breathing, though. We haven't heard anything otherwise. Yeah,
we haven't had an update for quite a while. And she was the only one in the car. She was by herself when this happened. And it was kind of...
Around what time was it?
It was around 8 o'clock in the morning. And it's a kind of... The stretch of road there, there's an apartment complex, and that's the entrance to the apartment complex there. Sorry, we're not showing that. Sorry, I'm looking at it.
No, I will show that.
Off to the right is the entrance to the apartment complex, and that's right where the crash happened. And the bus traveled, I don't know, I want to say maybe 15, 20 feet after the impact, or either that or pulled forward to because it stopped a little bit ahead of where the actual accident was. But yeah, you could, it's pretty remarkable when you look at very little damage to that, to the school bus itself. And then in front of it is that other bus that came to pick up all the kids and take them to, they go to Estrella High School. It's a charter school in Avondale, and that's where they were headed at the time of the crash. So.
Got it. Well, thanks for the update.
You're welcome.
You're going to have more details.
Yeah, we're still working to get a little bit more information on it.
Sure.
We'll have this story coming up at 5:30 tonight.
5:30 tonight. All right, Mark. Well, thank you for the
Thanks,
update.
Samia.
And I want to update our viewers on the latest in the Suge Knight situation. Have you been following the Suge Knight story?
A little bit, yes.
Yeah, so now Knight has been officially charged with 1 count each of murder and 2 counts of felony hit and run. And we actually have some sound from LA. Suge actually had supporters come out to LA, to court, to speak on behalf of him. And I actually want to play that sound for our viewers now.
I heard he was taken to the hospital, too. Did you hear something about that? Apparently he had a medical condition today. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear that yet.
I was checking, I think it was on TMZ that they...
TMZ has everything
They always have it first. Harvey Levin is the master of that.
They're on it. Well, we looked that up. I'm going to play the sound for our viewers.
Mr. Knight's entitled to justice. He's entitled to his liberty and his freedom in advance of being judged or condemned. He certainly is entitled to reasonable bail. He's certainly entitled to due process. He's entitled to fairness. He needs a chance to tell his side of the story.
What are you here for exactly today?
We're here to support Mr. Knight. We believe in Mr. Knight. We believe he's a talented, brilliant, and passionate person. He's made a big impact on the world and on society, touched many, many people's lives in a positive way. We're here to make sure that people remember that. Mr. Knight has been my friend and someone that I believe in, and regardless of any business affiliations with him, I would stand staunchly in support of Mr. Knight.
I mean, he loves Terry Carter, and him and Terry Carter were really good friends, so I know he's heartbroken about the whole situation. I mean, I can't really speak to his side of the story, but we all know Terry Carter very well. We all know that him and Suge go way back. And
so you guys just heard a sound from a couple of Suge Knight supporters. Mark and I were speaking right before I played that, talking about Suge Knight being rushed to the hospital today. We did get an update courtesy of TMZ. Suge Knight apparently had a panic attack while in court.
I'd have a panic attack too if I ran over 2 people.
And now I'm here with John Hook. Always the so funny John Hook. Let's get you in this shot fully.
Sure, okay, yeah.
And so lots of news to talk about today. I don't know what I want to talk about first. I think we're going to talk about the ISIS situation because it is terrible. I
have not looked at the video, to be honest with you, and I don't want to look at the video.
I'm not going to look at the video, but
I've seen it described. I've seen still pictures of it. Some people I respect have said don't look at it.
Right.
If you can avoid it. And I just don't need that in my mind,
I
to be
felt
honest
that way
with
about
you.
all the ISIS videos that have been coming out. I've never watched a single one.
Yeah.
All I've seen are the images.
Well, they want us to watch it.
The still images, and that's all I want to see.
Right.
And that's not even, I don't even want to see that, to be honest. Like watching all the different victims who have been kneeling on the ground, in their traditional ISIS execution form. Now, I understand this video was completely different. Or like much more production than anything else we've
Yeah,
seen?
and apparently the killing may have happened as much as a month ago. So
Oh, and it's just now being released.
they were working on the production value of it, is what it would appear. So,
And all this time, we thought the Jordanian pilot was still alive, as far as we were concerned.
yeah. So the Jordanian pilot in this video is taken out to basically a cage, and you see all this, including heartbeat sounds, graphics of destruction that the Allies in the war on terror have been involved in. And then they lead him out to a cage, put him in a cage, and then there's an accelerant that leads from a guy with a lighter leading to the cage.
And they probably shoot that all.
And he's also soaked in some type of flammable. And then they light it, and he goes up in flames.
And this pilot, just 26 years old,
Right.
He was captured by ISIS in December after his jet crashed in Syria.
Right. And King Abdullah of Jordan, who's in Washington, he spoke on Jordanian television today, urging all Jordanians to unite against this. Now, what's really interesting is, does this start to cause a rift where you have moderate Muslims saying, we have got to stop this, that they've gone, that ISIS will alienate Muslims, and that you will have within the Muslim world kind of a civil war over this stuff?
Right, because
that they will fight it. They will unite and say, we can't, this is going to ruin everything for us.
I think it's a worldwide issue now at this point. I mean, anyone who supports ISIS is crazy. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it is. And
right.
Here's a specific situation where, okay, the most recent thing we saw prior to this was the Japanese victims.
We've had a spate of beheadings, including Americans.
And here's a situation where it is a Jordanian individual, someone
a Muslim
from the Arab world, exactly.
A Muslim killed by Muslims,
and that's where it's just I'm not justifying any of that.
But he was the pilot,
Right.
He was a Jordanian pilot from the U.S.-led coalition, the first of the coalition captured inside of Syria.
Sure.
When they were hitting targets. So they're saying, look, you're an infidel, and we're going to kill you.
But I feel like what is their definition of infidel? Anyone that doesn't agree with them.
Pretty much.
That's what it is, and it's so.
And this is kind of what we're dealing with, and
but
so they're
like
ratcheting up.
They don't even. I don't get them because I don't understand. They don't even express an ideology, really. I feel like.
Well, I mean, the ideology is
they hate
their interpretation of the Quran that it's their way or the highway.
But the thing is, we never hear them coming out even talking about. They're just. I just feel like that's a whole bunch of demands and a whole bunch of evil acts and terrorism acts without any
and designed
basis.
to scare the West and scare us into dealing with them or backing off, whatever it may be. But obviously, I mean, this kind of behavior, this is not a group you can really do business with. How are you going to negotiate any kind of deal with them, even if you were to negotiate with them? How are you going to trust them on anything?
Right. The Japanese hostages, they were demanding, $200 million?
Yeah, and I'm totally against that, by the way, because I don't think you want to fuel their pipeline to continue their terror.
Absolutely, and I just feel with a group such as this, they've never displayed any sort of act of morality. So how do you even know there's any truth to what they're saying?
Exactly.
It's like you give them the money, and
they thought
still
this.
kill.
They thought this 26-year-old pilot was alive, and it turns out he wasn't. So
I don't. It's just I don't know.
But again, they're ratcheting this stuff up, and the problem is now that these videos have become even more and more dramatic, more and more heinous, and they're trying to ratchet up the shock value so that the international community will respond.
Right.
So the president condemned it today, but now what you have inside of Jordan is a resolve to stop these folks. So now you're getting breaks within the Muslim world where they're saying, look, this stuff is completely out of bounds. We've got to stop it. We need to step in and stop it.
But how do you stop it?
Well, this has been talked about for a long time, that there has been kind of a blind eye, for lack of a better word, turned to some of this. And now Muslims are realizing that this is harming the entire brand, and you can't have this stuff going on because it's going to ruin life for folks who are not part of this kind of extremism.
And I understand that, but it's like how.
I don't know.
How, you know, I mean,
That's
other than
beyond me.
airstrikes, and there's
Well,
no.
yeah.
What is the solution?
Well, to get ISIS, I mean, they are becoming more crafty at kind of going underground. They are
Sure.
hiding better, and so for us, and a lot of military folks have said, we're not going to solve this problem without ground troops.
Right.
The
This is a
airstrikes
war.
will be the airstrikes are a pinprick that are, you know, it looks good on television that we're doing this, but it won't end it. If we're really serious about eradicating them, it means we may have to put ground troops in there. And the president is just, he does not want to do that.
Right. That doesn't want to have another.
He does not want to be any party to anything like that. He doesn't want to be involved. He's tried to end these wars, not start them again. So I don't see that happening. I don't see the president putting troops in there. I mean, it would have to get really, really serious before he do that.
So are they just going to continue to just capture people? Should people just not travel to that region? I mean, how do we avoid seeing more and more of
Well, for
these
most
videos?
Americans, we're untouched by it. If you're in the military flying missions, you could be harmed by it. Obviously,
Right.
you're not dealing with any Geneva Convention rules.
Right.
So if you end up shot down over there, you could end up in a situation like this 26-year-old pilot ended up in today. Traveling, you should never be in that area to begin with,
Right.
probably unless you're a journalist or a diplomat.
And
So-
you're taking a risk
And you
by
know-
doing that.
you know the risks, yeah.
And
Right.
I think that's an unfortunate situation. It's like, obviously journalists don't want to go there to help or, cover it.
Well,
but
we've got to tell the story.
Exactly, but then you're also
You're putting your
risking
life at risk, and the foreign correspondents know that.
Right.
That's a dangerous occupation, especially in that part of the world.
Right. Right.
So-
Well, we actually have some sound from Pentagon spokesperson John Kirby, who
Okay, let
actually
me
spoke
grab
about this whole ISIS situation
I need to
and
start
the latest
bringing
from
my
ISIS.
earpiece up here. Not my hearing aid, my earpiece.
Family of Royal Jordanian Air Force pilot First Lieutenant Moaz Al-Kasesta, who was brutally murdered after being taken captive by ISIL terrorists. This horrific, savage killing is yet another example of ISIL's contempt for life itself.
Well, put well.
Nobody's letting off the gas. We're going to continue to put pressure on ISIL, regardless of these barbaric acts. What these acts do, however, I mean, they bring into stark relief just how despicable these people are, and how little that how the contempt that they have for life, and how little they care.
Well, you expect that from those guys from the
Right.
Pentagon. That's all Washington speak, but the question is, what are you going to really do about it?
What is the solution, though?
I don't
Other
know.
than-
You hear a lot of good military minds saying that the only way, if you're really serious, and it's an unpalatable
Yeah.
path forward for most people, is to get involved over there again.
But is there one specific target, for example, in the fight against Al Qaeda? It was like there was Osama bin Laden, this figurehead of sorts. Is there an ISIS equivalent right now? I mean, as far as we know, we have these videos, and there's the man with the British accent.
Well, this is the
know?
problem.
It's
You're
like,
fighting-
who are we fighting?
You're fighting an ideology, and that's very, very difficult to fight. You're fighting an ideology that whether you kill the head of it, the lieutenants, the upper command, there are going to be offshoots who this is what they believe, it's jihad, and they're going to go forward, no matter who's leading the charge. And this is where the splinters in the splinter groups become very, very dangerous and hard to track because it's like a cancer.
But when did this all develop? I feel like it's only been in the last 6 months. We've
No,
really
it's been developing longer than that.
But I mean, with the video, you know what I mean, where it's become such a mainstream thing where everyone in society knows about ISIS, knows about these videos. When did it all start? How did it even come to be?
I think, again, you're looking at offshoots of an ideology. I can't tell you the exact point where it
Right.
started and the point of origin, but what you're dealing with, too, is really a fight for the soul and the way forward for the Muslim world. And so, you've seen the Arab Spring, you've seen these pushes to try to democratize, and then you've got a pulling back, and people don't want to go a Western way. So you've got a clash of ideas, and it's turned very, very violent and bloody, and we're caught in the middle of this to some degree. So I don't know what you do. And the president, to me, looked today like, it's abhorrent, but what are you going to do? He knows that if we're going to really get serious about this is going to take a whole new change of course and direction, because airstrikes aren't going to solve this.
Right.
He knows that. He knows that.
It's just hard. I think every single time I look up, in our newsroom, for example, and I look at one of the cable news networks, and I see any sort of ISIS headline, the beheading, the burned alive today. I mean, it's just.
But does it begin to have less effect now because you're seeing it over and over and over, that the shock value started to be, mitigated? Well,
maybe that's why they went with burning instead of beheading now.
That was my point earlier.
Yeah, and
that they're trying to ratchet it up to get our attention again.
But I mean, I don't even know what to say other than I don't even know if this is the appropriate response, but it sucks. It's
beyond that.
It's not. I don't know. It's just hard to continue to see this and be in a position where you aren't really sure how to solve the problem.
We can't solve it. I mean, it's really going to be a decision in Washington. It's going to be a decision of the Congress, maybe to some degree, if they put enough pressure on, if they feel it's a fight worth having. But, I think, unfortunately, history kind of shows unless we're struck here, you're not going to get a lot of reaction.
Right. I mean, we had American victims, though.
But if we are struck en masse, like a 9/11 again,
right.
something like that,
right.
Then the U.S. reacts.
And, okay. And there's also, I mean, I guess the concern of this, building tension, like ISIS versus Al-Qaeda, right? I think that was sort of another thing that's going on over there that could cause even more trouble as they kind of compete to terrorize.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if because
There's
the
a
whole
lot of
France situation, that was an offshoot, like an Al-Qaeda.
This
Yemen
is what I'm
branch,
talking about, fighting an ideology.
Right.
You're going to get all these branches of the same cancer, and it's metastasized. So, trying to shut this stuff down is going to be very difficult. I guess what we have to remember, and the bottom line is, it's still, these are fairly isolated incidents, mm-hmm. and for better or for worse, and Israel's been dealing with this for decades, there's a certain amount of death and carnage that they have come to, I won't say accept, but it's, you're going to get some of this and you just move forward.
Right.
And I do wonder if we're entering an era that we're going to get some of this, and it may not fundamentally change our way of life,
right.
but it's going to be something that's going to just be part of our life.
Right, and I think something...
And Israelis live with it. I mean, a bombing happens, a bomb goes off in a bus, and a day later, life is going on. People are on the street, they're going to work.
Right.
They are kind of unbowed by this stuff.
Right, I think that's an issue in a lot of Middle Eastern countries, because even within a Muslim country, you have groups fighting.
Sure.
Between, sectarian violence, for example, or, I don't know, I mean, what happened to the school children that were shot up in northern Pakistan? It's like, that's the thing. You're absolutely right that these countries that are out there have become almost desensitized to the everyday violence.
I think that's a great word for it.
Their livelihood now.
Whereas it is part of their life.
We don't go outside thinking if any of us were exposed to anything of that degree, even of lesser degree, on a daily basis, it would just... Even just once, it would just completely shake our world.
It would for a while. But then if we got enough of this, again, people are going to live their life.
Right.
So, humans have an amazing ability to adapt, and they will. And we've adapted to a lot of changes, frankly, after 9/11. A lot of stuff has changed.
Airport travel.
Sure. I mean, 10 years ago, if somebody said, well, more than 10 years now, but...
20 years ago.
You got to take your shoes off to go to the airport. People would have just stood up in revolt and said, what, are you kidding me?
Sure.
We're not going to do that. We're going to wait in lines, and we're going to take off our belt, and we're going to do all this stuff, but you adapt.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of the human condition. So, speaking of which, this measles thing is interesting.
Right. It might be another thing we have to adapt to.
The human condition, yeah.
Right.
We thought we'd eradicated that, and it's coming back.
There's more than 100 cases in 14 states now, and this all kind of stemmed from what happened at Disneyland, the Disneyland
It did, but the bigger issue now is that a lot of people are not getting vaccinated because parents are worried about their kids developing autism from mercury or whatever solids are in these vaccines. So now, because some parents are opting out of vaccinating their kids,
right.
You've had an outbreak of something that's really been dormant for a long time. Oh, you've got pictures. Lovely.
Mm-hmm.
I put this up. I know we've got it on our Facebook page. I've got it on my Facebook page as well. a discussion about should you vaccinate your kids. And I haven't checked my page for a little while, so I'm not sure what the reaction is, but I'd like to see it. I put this out there probably about an hour ago. You know, we vaccinated ours. I said, with this measles outbreak, do you think parents should have the right to opt out of vaccinating their kids? Now, we did not do that. We vaccinated them. Mm-hmm. But, you know, you hear all these stories about what's in these vaccines, and the CDC and others have said this is absolutely a myth. There's nothing wrong with these vaccines.
Right, because
but parents are still, you know, they want control over what they do to their kids.
Right, but I just feel
they don't want to be told.
I feel like in the 80s and the 90s, I mean, getting vaccines was normal.
Right.
When did it become a question?
I think when autism rates started to climb, people started to wonder if in these vaccines that there's heavy metals and stuff in there that might be causing a problem.
And there were no reports of autism prior to having measles vaccination?
We do not know why the rates have soared so high in the last 20 years, but they have. Did we get, can you see reaction to this?
Yeah, I can.
I'm curious what the comments are. And I wrote, you've got it up on the page, but I wrote, this is the thing. As a parent, I want control over what we're injecting into our kids, but the downside of not vaccinating can be very serious and potentially affect or infect, in parens, others. This is where a person's right may interfere with the rights of others. I should have said of instead of over.
Right.
So, you know, the point is you choose not to vaccinate, but then if your kid, you choose not to vaccinate, that child develops measles, they bring it to school, and now you're impacting my world, right? So, you know, people want freedom, but freedom has limits.
Sure, but aren't vaccinations required prior to going to school? I feel
they
like
are.
That was part of all of my elementary school upbringing.
Some parents are saying, look, it's my right, and the schools take them anyway. So, here, Zachary Meyer says, couldn't have said it better myself. I believe in freedom, yet when a person's freedom to do whatever they please infringes on the health of others, things get tricky.
Right.
Very well put, Zachary. Very well put. I love my friends on Facebook.
I mean, they're so opinionated. Annika, I'm inclined to think that in most cases, public and personal health coincide here, and the burden of proof to not vax is on the anti-vaxxer. Parents tend to get offended at being told how to raise their children, but telling someone you know more about health and chemistry if you're an MD/DO isn't an offense. It's usually a fact. Okay.
Right. And you know what? As a parent, now we went through this. We've got 3 kids, twin boys 10, a girl 9. We went through this not that long ago. And as a parent, you just take the best information you've got. And when we weighed it, we said, hey, look, maybe there's something in these vaccines, but we can't take that risk either. So we vaccinated.
Right. And
we just took the best information we had, we weighed it, and we vaccinated.
Well, I like Paula Gutierrez Jones's response. We want to protect our children, but in all honesty, John, we all have lived this long with vaccines. The internet has made up worry too much. You don't second guess vaccinating your animals. Does that mean you love them less or more? Just a thought. Just take 2 shots throughout the year and not all at one time. And stop listening to Jenny McCarthy. She's not a doctor.
Stop listening to Jenny McCarthy, right? Okay, well, this is where we are. And yes, your world here, the web, this is where this stuff can gain incredible traction.
Well, trust me, every time I'm sick...
Which is good and bad.
Yeah, every time I'm sick, you just do a quick Google search and WebMD tells you that you have some, like, terrible disease. And my boyfriend's just like,
don't do that.
Oh, my God. I'm like, oh, my gosh. I'm, like, freaking out.
Yeah,
but it's true.
So people... Oh, interesting. So if the case was with Ebola, not this, would you still feel like they're interfering with people's rights?
I mean, that's true. There was a huge Ebola scare. I think if there was an Ebola vaccine, we would all have taken it right away.
Yeah, this is again, and you've got kids who are, now let's say that they are facing a problem at school,
right?
And the school's saying, look, without your vaccination, you can't be schooled here. Mm-hmm. And this is happening in some places.
Right.
Well, then what? Does the parent's right trump the government's right to compel you to have these vaccines?
Right, but then if you're the government and you figure that public school, you're paying... You're paying to fund these children's education, then I guess the children do have to comply with... I mean, at the end of the day, it's whoever's funding anything, whether it's school, they have the ultimate say. It's always the fund, the
Who's
people
paying
with
the
the
bill?
money.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a completely unrelated topic, but just to lighten things up, when my best friend's getting married, and her parents are paying for this whole wedding. And her
Okay.
mom is interfering with all this stuff that she doesn't want. But I'm like, dude, your
That's
mom.
what moms do.
But I'm saying, it's like, at the end of the day, if your parents are paying for it, listen, though, but if your parents are paying for it and you're not fronting the bill, then
Okay.
they have a right to kind of
They're-
interfere a little bit. And what I'm saying is, if it's a public school
Yes.
and the government is paying for
But
it.
who's the government?
That's
the
true,
government's
it's the
us.
public.
See,
You're
we're
right.
paying
You're
for
right.
this.
There we go.
Now,
So-
here's another thing. Now,
do we have certain schools that have? Do we make separate schools
Well,
for
we do.
vaccinated and
In
unvaccinated?
here, we've got it. We've got charters, and maybe some charters would not require it. I don't know.
But what I'm saying is, for the parents that still want their kids protected, I don't know. Is there just a separate school of all just entirely made
Well,
up
this
of
is the
children?
thing. I don't know
Like-
where you end with this. The good news is we've had 100 cases nationwide. That's not a lot, but there's worry that it will spread. There was worry during the Super Bowl it would spread here because
Right.
we've got some cases here. And with everybody together, and it's highly contagious.
Right.
Measles is wickedly
They said
contagious.
it's 90% likely if you're exposed to someone
Exactly.
with measles that you
So,
will contract measles.
Now, given that, I'm glad I vaccinated my kids.
Right.
That's just me. I'm not going to tell anybody else what to do, but that's just me.
Right. And I know it's become a political hot topic.
Oh, very. I
I-
mean, the politicians have been dragged into
Right.
it. The GOP candidates have been dragged into it.
Right. There's a lot of headlines just this morning. I feel like Chris Christie commented on it.
Yes, he did. He originally said, "Look, parents should have a choice," and then he had to backtrack and walk it back because I think his staff and public health officials were like, "Look, you guys go out there saying this, you're giving ammunition to people who don't want to get vaccinated, and we're going to end up with a wild spread of this stuff if you guys keep talking this way." But it is a personal rights issue.
Right.
Now, okay, Speaker Boehner says all
Yeah.
children ought to be vaccinated.
And then
these
I think,
guys.
What else? I think Hillary Clinton tweeted about it today or something.
She probably, my guess would be that she'd say, "Get vaccinated," right?
Let's find out. I'm going to pull up her
Okay,
Twitter.
yes, she said the earth is round, get vaccinated.
She's like, the science is clear. The earth is round, the sky is blue, and vaccines work. Let's
Now that's
protect all of our kids.
interesting verbiage. The science is clear. You hear that on the global warming debate all the time. The science is clear. The debate is over. Well, that's almost code for a lot of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. That's interesting that she used that choice
And the
of words.
hashtag grandmothers know best.
Well, again, people are making choices, and
Right.
parents don't want to be compelled by the government to do something. I get that. I totally get that. But your choice not to do something potentially can impact other people, and so your rights now are infringing on our rights because you might bring a kid to school who's got this and infect other people. So, I don't know.
The thing is, there's no official confirmation, though, that these vaccines
Not at all. CDC and
cause autism or even contribute
yes,
to it.
that has really been knocked down.
What do we know so far about autism in terms of the contributing factors, or do we just not know yet? And is that why there's so many hypothetical?
There are a lot of hypotheticals, and
know.
there are some people who are wondering: did this coincide with vaccines? Did this? What is causing this autism rate to soar?
Right. Isn't I mean, some people could credit just.
And I think everybody, parents nowadays worry about this stuff. They do worry about, well, what else is in the vaccine? I'm cool with the measles part. Well, what else is in that shot? I understand that. We worried about it too. But in the end, you got to weigh it and go, look, you got to take your chances.
And
So.
yeah. I never thought that a measles vaccine would be a hot topic.
I know. Can you
in
believe
Washington.
it?
I think that's what's
dragging all
crazy.
the politicians
I
in?
think that's what's really interesting
What
about
is
all
with Hillary Clinton's picture here? Can you
Let's
put
go.
that up? What? She looks like she's, connected. What's going on here? This is really an interesting shot.
Oops. She's on her phone.
Wow.
Checking Twitter.
She's looking like Madeleine Albright there more than Hillary Clinton. That's kind of an interesting look. That is an interesting look. She's in an airplane? Where is she?
It looks like she's sitting somewhere, but it looks like
It's
a
an
carpet.
airplane.
Is it?
Look at the
The seatbelt right here?
yeah, or else she's in the plane with the State Department. It's a
Right.
It's a DC plane.
That could be. I mean, I'm
But
just
in the
looking
wider
at
picture,
the
yeah.
carpet
yeah,
right here.
yeah. That's an airplane seat, and that's a seatbelt. Right?
She's on her phone.
She's on her phone. She's texting, tweeting, all the stuff you guys live by.
You guys. I guess so. I mean, there's.
Hey, I want to lighten the topic for a minute. Can
You
you pull
can.
up? Can you pull? You can't.
No, you can.
Okay, good.
No, you totally
Pull up my
can.
Facebook page one more time. I
Okay.
want to show you some pictures from Katy Perry on Sunday night for
Okay.
the Super Bowl.
We have your Facebook page here still.
I got some really cool. Go down. I got some really cool shots at the Super Bowl. Can you go to my photo stream?
Right here.
Yeah, go back. That's right when the Patriots won. That's during Katy Perry's performance.
Oh,
That
wow.
Some of these don't look actually real.
Like this one. That looks amazing.
Keep going back.
And that's really pretty.
Yeah, look at that. Well, I don't know. Those aren't some of the ones that I was.
Looks like you had fun on Sunday.
You got to go. I did. I did. Go back to the main. Go back to the main page. There's a entry there that I can show you a couple of pics. Just scroll down if you can. Right here. These. Check this out. This was so spectacular inside. Next. Does that look real? I mean, that almost looks fake, doesn't it?
No, it looks amazing.
It was amazing.
I mean, I'm saying, like, I was working here doing News Now during the Super Bowl, and I was watching the halftime performance, and I was really impressed. Because I'm not like, I mean, my position on Katy Perry prior to this performance was that of indifference.
Okay.
Like, her songs were catchy. There were certain songs I liked. But I wasn't like, oh my God, I love Katy Perry. I'm a huge fan. I'm going to go see her in concert, this or that. And I didn't hate her either.
Yeah, you were
I was just neutral.
You were in the middle.
I
Okay.
just, indifference. But
Okay.
after watching this and watching her put on such a good show, and visually it was so appealing.
I agree.
It was fun. I would want to go to a Katy Perry show now.
No, I called her something else. I think she's bordering on becoming a little bit of an American treasure. I'm not kidding, because her songs are very positive. Her message is very uplifting for women, for girls. My daughter absolutely adores her.
Right.
And she is positive in how she does this. And that is nice to see. She's not a basket case. She's not crazy. She gets out there and performs with a joy that I really, really find kind of compelling, I guess, for lack of a better word. Go to one more, and then we're out. Peace out. Yeah, you saw that one before. And let's see if there's another one up there. But anyway. So, it was fun. It was a good time.
Yeah, it looks like it was fun.
I got some good pictures.
So you're going to go see Katy Perry in concert anytime
Probably
soon?
not, but I'm just glad she's around. I think she's good. I think she was a good choice for the Super Bowl. And next year, if it's not Taylor Swift, I'll be shocked.
I mean, it would have to. I mean, I'm surprised Taylor Swift didn't get it this year.
I kinda
This was
was
the
too.
year of Taylor Swift.
I kind of was too.
And reportedly Taylor Swift and Katy Perry have beef. Reportedly.
You know, when they were talking about how Katy Perry was going to diss her during this performance, and I thought that's not like her. I'm not believing she's going to do that.
Sure, I don't think she did.
It
We would
wouldn't
have
be.
heard about
It would have been small-minded. I think that wouldn't have been good for her.
Right. It would have been bad.
Get
press.
over it. They're both doing very well.
They
There's
used
no
to
reason
be
to
friends.
fight.
They used to be friends.
Yeah.
Ugh, what could
I
have
guess
been?
they're stealing each other's people.
They were stealing each other's backup dancers. Was some of the drama with one tour and the other, and also, I mean, they both dated John Mayer.
Yeah, that's a source of friction.
Yeah.
I'm sure. That guy. Wow.
He's gone through them all.
Yes,
Well,
he
I was
has.
surprised when him and Taylor dated, just because Taylor Swift was 19 at the time. It's like 30 something, mid-30s. I don't know.
She's legal age.
She is legal. I know she's legal, but it's like Taylor Swift still has this like innocence
No, I know.
about
Well,
her.
believe me, I don't think you listen to her songs. She's
Not
it's
anymore.
Not,
No,
the
not
innocence is
anymore.
gone. I think.
Well, I'm saying at the time when John Mayer was in the picture, she still had that innocence in her music. I have
What's
every
the song
Taylor Swift
right now she's got out that
I have
she
every-
talks about being a complete, she's nuts. Ask
Blank
all,
Space?
Yeah, Blank Space. I mean, if that's autobiographical, that is trouble with a capital T.
Well, she has a song called Trouble, in case you intended
Yeah,
that.
no, that's true too.
That was very...
Am I excused?
You are, yeah. You are excused, because if we start the Taylor Swift debate, you will be up here for another hour.
That's right.
Because I have
Thank
been
you.
a fan since 2007, and I will defend Taylor till death.
Oh, wow. So you're much more a
know.
Taylor Swift than a Katy Perry.
I see. I'm not against Katy Perry. I'm just like, I really have this Taylor Swift connection that goes back 7 years. I have all her albums
That's
in my
interesting
car.
because Katy Perry would be more of your age, actually. I mean, she's
Well,
probably
we are the
closer to
same
your
age.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
But I mean, I'm older than Taylor Swift.
These, both of them, write great pop songs.
Right.
Great pop songs.
Sure. Great.
And Katy Perry's are anthems. They really are. So that's
They're
why I
just
like
different
the show.
styles. I mean, I'm a big country music fan, and a lot of Taylor Swift's older stuff.
Okay.
You know, she was always storytelling for her, and that's what I really liked about her.
Yeah, she's good. She's great.
I'm not arguing. I'm not saying who's.
There's room for both in the world, right?
Obviously,
Okay.
there is. Thanks for the update, John. And now it's time for weather. I have Mr. Dave Munsey joining me.
Oh, John
right
left
now.
me little lemon drops or something.
I know, those are mine.
Oh,
and they're not lemon drops.
Oh, they're oyster crackers.
They're crackers. I had soup for lunch, guys.
Okay.
And I obviously did not fully clean up the set because
I'm
my
looking for some
guests
soup.
are
I'm looking
clearly
for some soup to put them in.
judging me for the way that I kept the desk
There you go.
before they arrived. Well, you can have some
So
crackers
these
if you want.
handsome sunglasses are yours too, then?
Those are my sunglasses, yeah.
Excellent.
But all you guys know what happens back here. Well. Guess what?
Okay, what?
Guess what, Dave Munsey? I went outside for
Mm-hmm.
lunch. I took a walk, and it was very sunny and very pleasant. And I just want to thank you as the representative of Phoenix weather because
It's a
it's very
beautiful
nice
day
outside.
today. It's very,
nice
very
outside.
beautiful day today. I had nothing to do with it. If I did, I would be driving a much nicer car. In fact, somebody would driving around in a much nicer car. But yeah, it is nice, nice weather. We've got more of it to come. It's going to get nicer. By the weekend, it'll be in the low 80s, kind of flipping back and forth between the low 80s, 80 and 78. So those are all beautiful temperatures for this time of year. And if you look at the map there, you will see that we're moving the clouds out. Got some high pressure moving in. We do have some storms north of us. And the Gulf states from Texas all the way across to Florida have a few problems that folks are dealing with. But boy, I'll tell you, New England cleaned out real quick after the big storm. We said that they would be cleaned out today, and as you can see, they are. But as you can also see, another storm system working its way in there, another low pressure system that you can't see right now, but it's that
Is it the
it's
blue
the blue
up there?
stuff. It's the blue stuff. That's snow.
So it looks like
moving
Chicago.
across. Yeah, and that's pretty much the jet stream rolling along right there too. So Chicago getting another shot, and the New England will get another shot as well as yes. There is a low pressure system coming into the northwest right now that is going to work its way across the country, going to kind of dip down into the midsection of the country. There is a low pressure system somewhere near Dallas right now, and it's going to come north, and they're going to join forces. They're going to get together, and they're going to head to New England, and so that will be another blast of cold weather for them. With all of that in mind, we then give you a look at this.
Oh my gosh!
And yeah, look at that! Isn't that beautiful?
Wow!
Look
I'm gonna take a picture
There
really
you go.
quickly with my phone because I want
Saturday
to
and
post
Sunday.
this on
That's
the
a great
internet.
selfie picture right there. I mean,
Can we take a selfie of it?
of course.
I don't know if I can take a selfie of the.
Should be able to take a selfie of anything.
Oh, but selfies of
You
yourself.
just have to get yourself in there. That's
Me
the thing.
and the
Yeah.
forecast. I don't know.
But yeah, that's a nice looking forecast right there, and as you can see, it's upper 70s, 80, low 80s, all the way through. So some good stuff as we head into the weekend, and this is the time of year when we have that weather that's just doesn't get too warm. Even when it gets into the 80s, it doesn't feel too warm on you.
It's
it feels
perfect.
fantastic.
It looks perfect. Except you know where it's not perfect?
Yeah, is that what I'm looking at
That's
over here?
Boston. Yeah, there was crazy gridlock because of the snow.
Yeah,
today.
12 to 18 inches in Boston and surrounding areas too. Don't forget they just had 26 inches on the ground, and some areas up there as much as 34, 38 inches on the ground. So yeah, that's gridlock, and look at that. Look at how the cars are just stopped there, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and I don't know. Have you been to Boston?
I've driven through Boston.
You've driven through.
Yeah,
Have you driven through just on freeways or through the city as well?
No, we did go down to. I wanted to go down to the university, so we drove through the city a little bit.
Okay,
but
so
mostly I was on the freeway.
So you've been through the city. Mm-hmm. I think it is the worst city in the country to drive in.
Then you haven't driven in Denver.
Really?
Yes,
the roads
Denver,
are worse in Denver.
Denver is at rush hour.
I don't mean with traffic.
Oh, you're just talking the roads
I'm not talking traffic because I did just come
Oh.
here from LA. Keep in mind.
Okay, yeah,
I'm
that's
talking
true.
about because a lot of because I used to work in Massachusetts because it's one of like the earlier developed states.
I hear
a lot
you.
of the roads were
Yep.
just made off of horse paths.
I
so there's
see.
no logic. You know, in Phoenix, it's a grid. It's so logical. You can get around anywhere. There, there are these, like, so you can see,
Well,
it's like a random roundabout, and
I was
there's
just
all
saying
these
that,
random
yeah.
roads that just converge right here. If
You
you
can
just
see
look
that.
at it.
That's what's happening
There's just
there.
all these random roads, and
And
none
then
of
look
it
at
makes
this guy.
sense.
He's trying to get through,
Right.
going the
And
total
so
opposite direction.
if you don't know all of the streets and you're relying on GPS, even relying on GPS, it's confusing because it's like, am I making a full turn? Am I making a half turn? Is it a roundabout? I mean, it's a difficult city to drive in my opinion. I think
And you see
really difficult.
when you see an ambulance like we just saw stalled in traffic, that's not a good sign that the traffic's rolling real good.
Right. It's
Yeah,
not
I
that-
see what you're saying. And it's a large area,
Right.
but the freeway system does go around it. So
Right. No, the freeway system's fine. I'm
and
just
it's
talking about
newer,
the
much
roads.
newer, yeah.
I've gotten lost in that city, and it was not pleasant. And this was before Siri was with me.
I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I'm like, oh no, what do I
But
do?
look at this. Yeah, that's really some gridlock there.
Yeah, it is really
we're
bad.
looking
But
at there.
that was my gridlock update for you.
There you go. Yeah, my gridlock. If you were going to talk about gridlock, would be in Denver because that's where I've experienced the worst traffic ever. But yeah, you're right. You see how these people are turning around. There's traffic
Right.
going through, traffic going in every direction there.
I know.
It's kind of crazy.
It is crazy. And before I let you go, I have a question for you. I need some advice, Dave Munsey.
Okay.
Valentine's Day is like 11 days away.
Mm-hmm.
What should I do?
You're thinking of buying a gift for someone?
Perhaps, yes.
Perhaps.
I should.
Yeah. I'll
In
tell
your
you.
experience, what works best?
Well, it all depends. I like things like, of course, I'm buying, for my wife, but I like things like spa things. I like things like a facial.
You like being given that?
No, I like giving
that. Okay.
and because I think she likes to get stuff like that.
Sure.
It's hard for a couple. Next Sunday, we're celebrating 41 years of marriage.
Oh, you got married the day after Valentine's Day? Or no, this upcoming Sunday.
We
the 8th.
we got married 1 week before.
Okay, got it.
Valentine's Day on purpose to avoid Valentine's Day. But
so do you celebrate the anniversary and Valentine's Day as one event then?
No.
So they're separate days still?
Well, they're separate days, but we don't really celebrate Valentine's Day.
Okay, got it.
I mean, we'll do a little card or something, but it's
Okay.
not a big celebration. Our celebration is a week before.
Uh-huh.
But I like to give gifts. As I said, when you've been married that long, I think you have all the jewelry you need. You have all of the sweaters and all of the shoes and all of the things that you could possibly. So you want to get those external things. You want to get stuff that you don't bring home and set on a shelf or hang up in a closet, and that's a facial.
Yeah,
That's something that you can go out and experience with your friends.
Right.
If they have a husband that will get them one too.
It's like you have to coordinate with your wife's friend's husband.
There you go.
Like, let's get them all the
Well,
same thing and they can go hang out.
It's interesting because the crowd that I'm in,
Yeah.
and the crowd that it's more than I'm trying to think of how many different couples. Probably about 5 different couples that my wife and I hang with have anniversaries and birthdays
all around
the same time. Our birthdays match up more than our anniversaries.
Oh,
do.
wow.
But we do have a lot of birthdays, so we do celebrate a lot together, which is a lot of fun to do. But
fun.
From
a guy's perspective, what do guys want on Valentine's Day? I mean, do they even want gifts? I don't even know.
I don't know that guys want gifts all that bad.
Or they probably don't want gifts, but let's say you're a girl and you want to purchase a gift for a guy.
Well, I suppose it could be some sort of a sporting event.
Oh, good
that
idea.
you could send them to.
Sure.
Like if the
like
Phoenix
a Super
Open.
Bowl.
Well, yeah.
No, I mean that'd be like a really
the
really,
Phoenix
really
Open
good.
is over. The Phoenix Open is over. But you could have gotten a ticket for a Super Bowl party and sent them to something like that. But a sporting event or someplace where they do certain things like hit golf balls or a driving range, an hour at a driving range if that's what he does.
Right. Just
things like that.
A fun activity.
And some guys like candy,
Really?
Yeah, sure.
Really?
Why not? I'll tell you. I buy my wife a box of candy, but she doesn't eat candy.
So you eat it?
Well, I always tell her that I'll take care of it for her.
So you just get it for her as the gesture, but you're getting it for yourself, really?
I'm actually getting it for myself.
What's your favorite kind of candy?
Chocolate, milk chocolate.
Just
anything
milk
chocolate. Anything milk chocolate.
Anything
Absolutely.
milk chocolate.
Anything
Do you like
milk chocolate.
them filled? Do you like
anything milk chocolate?
anything that's
Yes.
milk chocolate,
That's
regardless
it.
of what's in it?
I only eat milk chocolate so I won't get fined. No, it's anything milk chocolate. It'll be the same answer all the way through. Yeah, I will. I'll pick up a box of Valentine's Day candy. And she knows that I'm buying a box of stuff that I really like. But it looks nice in the house. You
Right.
know, people come in and go, "Oh, you're so nice. You got your wife a box of candy."
But now the secret's out. It's on news now.
There you go.
Now we all know the truth, Dave.
There you go. They'll see me buying it and they'll go, "That's for you, isn't it?" Yes, it is.
Well, thanks for the advice, Dave, on
Okay.
Valentine's Day and, of course, on the weather.
All
Yes,
right.
we have some good weather in store.
We do.
No rain.
Okay. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining me. And, guys, thanks so much for joining me, as always, on
Forget
Fox
your crackers
10.
over here.
I'll remember them, Dave. Thanks so much, guys, for joining me on Fox 10 News Now. As always, I remind you every day, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. That is youtube.com/Fox10Phoenix. That way you will stay updated on all the breaking news as it happens. And with that said, I guess I'll see you guys next time. Bye.